Welcome to Smash Fiction, a podcast where we pit two or more characters against each other in a battle of strength, or wits, or team-building activities themed on traumatizing children, or whatever. This week, Freddy Krueger versus Nemesis versus Jack Skellington versus Imhotep.
This spooky season, Smash Fiction welcomes you to Smash Totem Fest.
It's a beautiful fall day on the Monsters University campus. A few monsters still playing frisbee golf despite the cruel mockery of their peers. The Art Society selling baked goods with baked in quotation marks. Hilarious. A freshman rushing to the health center after a pigeon bit off part of a finger. Some new chalk art by the Science Hall depicting the Fear Tech logo as a giant scaly dick and balls. All in all, an excellent day to hold the Scare Games, a campus-wide announcement before the games get underway. If you wander into the Scare Games course because you're playing People Mon Go and not looking where you're slithering, then you get what's coming to you. Seriously, guys, there's a Geodude bro over by the registrar's office, which is way better than what I've got. I've got like 6 Manicarps. Competitors, you all represent the best this school has to offer. Leadership, intelligence, charisma, and raw, terrifying talent. The captains this year are a group of mature students. They're listed in the system as Freddy Krueger, Jackson, Skellington, Imhotep, and Chad. Apparently, better known around campus as Freddy, Jack, Imhotep, and Nemesis. Hopefully that real-world experience will come in handy. And it seems they've each entered the Scare Games this year with upstart fraternities, or at least fraternities I've certainly never heard of. Freddy insists his fraternity, Slasha Slayta Die, has been around for as long as there have been dreams.
Die, 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 die.
Jack listed his fraternity, Hex, Omicron, Hex, Omicron, Hex, Omicron. Nemesis didn't say anything, but wrote down Nemenasties, which is definitely not how the Greek alphabet works, but I was not prepared to push it. Imhotep sent me a text with the frat name, but it was just some sort of emojis, which I guess I'll just describe. A hawk next to a large bowl with a handle. Later this was clarified as Kappa Amenophus. You mature monsters may have held down jobs, started families, even figured out how to do your taxes. But the Scare Games will test you to your limit if you want to prove that you are the greatest scarer MU has to offer. First, you will guide yourself and your team through a darkened sewer lit only by the intermittent light of the stinging glow urchins. Your second test will be to capture a difficult-to-reach flag hidden in the library without attracting the attention of the angry 50-foot tentacled slug librarian. She hates all noise and the students that cause it, so you must be at your most crafty and silent. Third, you will run a maze with child dummies that you have to scare and teenage dummies you must avoid in order to make it through. Fourth, hide yourself in an unfamiliar frat house and then escape the frat house, all without attracting the attention of the referee who's keeping all of his eyes peeled for you and your team. Your fifth and final test is to terrify the scare simulator with all the monstrousness you can while the entire school watches. So, who will seduce the slug librarian into complacency? Who will surprise me in claiming that their character is somehow conveniently immune to this vicious sting of the glow urchin? Who will make Dean Hardscrabble shed a tear of pride at the horror you have wrought? I can't even begin to guess. That's why I, Megan Bob, will be Smash Fiction's school-spirited host this week. MU! Representing Team Freddy Krueger is Miles Schneiderman.
Welcome to my podcast, bitch.
Representing Team Jack Skellington and making his Smash Fiction special guest debut is Colin Mulcairn.
Boys and girls who were bereft after you'd heard that I had left, prepare for my humor to leave you in stitches, because I'm a special guest this week. That's right, bitches. This is Colin. This is Colin. Colin. This song's going on for too long.
You can't use the word bitch, Colin. I have that on, like, trademark at the time.
I was going to say, there's a lot of bitching today. Representing Team Imhotep is Dan Mulcairn.
Okay, be honest, guys. First Mumra, now Imhotep. Have I just, like, totally typecast myself? Am I now the mummy guy on this list?
Yes, you are.
Representing Team Nemesis is Liz Logan.
Nemesis is the bestest!
In order to see who will go first this week, I gathered our team representatives together at a nearby campus bathroom, set off a stink bomb, donned my invisibility cloak, and watched to see who could evade campus security. Miles climbed a tree, which I thought at first was a hiding maneuver, but then he dropped from above, taking out one security officer. Ballsy. Dan flat out blamed me for the whole thing. Yes, it was absolutely my fault, but dude, snitches get stitches. Colin surprised us all by hot-wiring a moped and setting out across campus, but he was later apprehended when he wiped out trying to do a sweet jump over a pothole.
Flew too close to the sun, man.
Liz took the opposite approach, broke into campus security, assumed the identity of the chief officer, and has successfully taken over their entire life and already secured a raise. Liz will be going first this week, followed by Colin, followed by Miles, followed by Dan. Nemesis, minoring in plastic surgery. Your team to the starting line. Show them you're a star.
Aww. Oh, that's good. Good Resident Evil joke. Okay. As his name suggests, Nemesis is an inescapable force of horror, specializing in causing the downfall of various overzealous police officers and scientists. One of gaming's most terrifying villains, Nemesis was created to be the ultimate life form, infected with various parasites and gifted with weapons to increase combat prowess, intelligence, and overall scariness. With regenerative healing, a relentless personality, and a variety of ways to kill or scare you, Nemesis is the monster I wish I never met in my elementary school dreams. In regards to the Toxicity challenge, and please, despite his hulking figure, don't judge. Nemesis is quick on his feet. He can assess threats easily in the dark and doesn't let much stop him. Throughout Resident Evil 3, we see Nemesis navigating rather cramped spaces and catwalks easily, not dissimilar to what a dark sewer might be, rarely getting caught up with his rocket launcher of an arm or his stylish mutant trench coat. While I think Nemesis won't have an issue getting tangled up with either the environment or the great glowing urchin, Nemesis does have an advantage here over the contestants. Props to Mega Bob for calling this out immediately. Being the baby of a mutation program, if Nemesis were to get stung, or choose to get stung, being that he is constantly assessing how to become stronger in order to navigate. So in order to navigate this section of the games faster, we have seen in Resident Evil 3 that Nemesis can literally bathe in acid or poison and not be stopped, all while then gaining the ability to spew forth said acid or poison. If he is running this challenge alongside the other contestants especially, even if they are able to dodge the stinging urchin, chances are they won't be able to dodge a stinging glowing Nemesis, a trained hunter whose #1 strength on his resume would be chasing people down. In Avoid the Parent, let's piggyback off what I've just said. Nemesis is a trained hunter, and such a good stalker that his prowess would make even the best paparazzo jealous. Able to assess any situation, Nemesis knows when each engagement needs some sneaky, and when maybe he needs to go a little bit louder. Don't forget, the Nemesis used to be a man named Matt Addison, a highly trained FBI and NSA operative who was able to sneak his way into the Raccoon City Police Department impersonating an officer and infiltrate the highly secure Umbrella Corporation to expose their illegal experimentation. Due to the nature of the T-virus, it latched onto Matt's DNA and basically made him better at everything he was already good at. Just a lot uglier and scarier. So in this case, it's a win-win. In Resident Evil Apocalypse, after the STARS team, highly trained special operatives, were basically celebrating that they were safe, Nemesis was able to sneak up on them, hiding amongst cars on a street and get within at least 100 yards. With his prior military training and ability to strategize, the Nemenasties will take easily to Nemesis' direction for them, hiding in the most strategic of places. In the don't scare the teen scenario, Nemesis is perfectly equipped to handle it. Remember, Nemesis operates based on directives he or Umbrella sets for himself. For example, his mission in the games and movie is typically to eliminate the aforementioned STARS team members. Even though he is basically a walking death machine, he still has the self-control to not murder civilians. In Resident Evil Apocalypse, after murdering a bunch of STARS, one last civilian is standing holding pistols. On Nemesis' HUD, it comes up with armed civilian, and he still doesn't shoot. Then the civilian drops his guns, and the HUD changes to unarmed civilian. Nemesis doesn't shoot and instead walks away. change stars to children, change civilian to teens, and drop the murder, and you have a winner for this scenario. Not to mention, I've already covered how Nemesis is easily able to navigate complex places, or, run straight through concrete walls to get somewhere faster. This challenge will be less a maze and more like Mad Max on legs. In terms of scaring children, Nemesis' exposed muscles, disturbing exposed teeth, and his sewn-up right eye, he's basically every kid's worst nightmare about what might happen to them at the doctor's office. If he wants to avoid teens, all he has to do is cover himself up with his ample trench coat and pretend to be that goth kid that prefers to be avoided anyways. With his military-like hierarchy for his Nemenasties, Nemesis' crew will also know exactly what to scare and what to avoid. For hide and seek, similar to how Nemesis would handle avoid the parent, he has shown that he knows when to stay quiet, whether it be sneaking around a parent or sneaking up on unsuspecting prey. Here, though, Nemesis wouldn't necessarily need to sneak around. If in an enemy frat house, and thanks to his special mutation properties, Nemesis would most likely use one of the frat's monsters as a catalyst for some mutation action. In Resident Evil Apocalypse, the human that Nemesis formerly was became Nemesis after a cut from a liquor mutated. He then mutated and took on traits of the liquor. As I said earlier, Nemesis has frequently shown that he can mutate constantly when exposed to other foreign bodies, taking on their characteristics. Here, he could easily come into contact with another frat member, mutate, and blend right in under the referee's nose. Now, in Simulated Scare, Nemesis has so many things going for him, it's ridiculous. So ridiculous that the only proper way to show it is a hashtag dance list. So here we go. Has a name that basically means your inevitable downfall, exposed muscles, giant-sized proportions, bad teeth, sewn-shut right eye, wears black, tentacles, trench coat, rocket launcher arm, minigun arm, science experiment gone wrong or terribly right depending on how evil you are, literally a bioorganic weapon, unholy meeting of flesh and science, has a scary voice, and was created to be so scary that the grim creators wanted players of Resident Evil 3 to have such bad paranoia that, and I quote, when it disappears after the first confrontation, you live in constant dread of the next attack. No one wants to be around Nemesis. No one wants to look at Nemesis. They only want to run away from Nemesis, or hope that he chooses to leave them alone. But him leaving actually just makes them go crazy and then more fearful for the next time they run into him. Between Nemesis and all his mini-me Nemenasties, you have an unstoppable delta force of scary. But one last point. Oh, so many points.
Very impressive.
So, fortunately, all those aforementioned points lead up to one uniquely equipped contestant and crew for the Scare Games. And let's not forget about Nemesis' leadership abilities and his crew, the Nemenasties. Being part of the Umbrella Corporation, Nemesis is no stranger to military-like hierarchy, whether it's following through with orders, establishing directives, or assessing combat situations. With his intimidating size and sheer firepower, he is easily someone his Nemenasties will feel comfortable standing behind. His sheer will to never stop, his ability to absorb all sorts of firepower thrown at him, and his constant calling of his targets' names provides his Nemenasties with encouragement, motivation, safety, and a clear combat directive that is so simple, being a name, that even the dumbest Nemenasty could figure it out. Presumably, after finishing their world tour as a Guar cover band, Nemesis will have instituted military training for his Nemenasties, infecting them with his T-virus blood, teaching them how to handle various weaponry in a totally scary way, and perform some terrible plastic surgery to match their ultimate leader, Nemesis. Praise Hannah Montana. I mean, Nemesis.
Strong showing there from Team Nemesis. Jack Skellington, double minoring in musical theater and government, your team to the starting line. Light him up like a jack-o'-lantern, Pumpkin King.
All right, so why don't we start off with a little quote from the song Jack's Lament. There are few who would deny, at what I do I am the best, for my talents are renowned far and wide. When it comes to surprises in the moonlit night, I excel without ever even trying. With the slightest little effort of my ghost-like charms, I have seen grown men give out a shriek. With a wave of my hand and a well-placed moan, I have swept the very bravest off their feet. Yet year after year, it's the same routine, and I grow so weary of the sound of screams. Weary of the sound of screams, huh? Man, if Jack was working for Monsters, Inc., they would have never had that energy shortage. In a world of mad scientists, ghosts, vampires, werewolves, zombies, and cyclopses, who is considered by everyone in town to be scariest of them all? Who leads the forces of Halloween to Earth each and every October 31st to terrorize children and adults alike? Who is followed everywhere he goes by a throng of adoring witch and mermaid and cloth golem groupies? That would be the Pumpkin King himself, Jack Skellington, the one and only patron spirit of Halloween. As Santa Claus is to joy and presents, Jack Skellington is to nightmares. But why is Jack Skellington so scary? First up, let's run down some of his basic statistics. He shows off superhuman leaping, reflexes, and flexibility when he is ducking and dodging the various spiky blade traps in Oogie Boogie's lair. He is durable enough to survive a fall from miles up in the sky after his sleigh is shot down by the US military, springing back up to his feet unharmed and full of energy after lying on the ground for just long enough to sing the first half of a melancholy song. But the thing that really makes Jack scary is his stealth. Throughout the course of the opening song of Nightmare Before Christmas, we see a motionless pumpkin-headed scarecrow being led in a parade through town. At the end of the song, the scarecrow springs to life and begins to dance, and then lights itself on fire and burns off its disguise, revealing Jack underneath. Later, when he visits Christmas Town, he makes another disguise for himself, this time a snowman, and when he stands totally still, we see denizens of Christmas Town pass right by him without even noticing. Later, we see him silently infiltrate Oogie Boogie's lair again, totally unnoticed. The Monsters, Inc. movies teach us that stealth is one of a monster's greatest assets, and Jack is such a master of hiding, sometimes right in plain sight, that he can sneak up on his prey or avoid detection in any of the hiding-based challenges with ease. Also, Jack is hella smart and inquisitive. His What's This song shows that he is eager to investigate and understand new ideas, especially when they come from new worlds. You can sure as hell bet that since he came to Monstropolis, Jack has been a voraciously curious student, shouting, "What's this?" every time he turns around a corner and sees a new location on campus.
Oh my god.
Also,
What's this? What's this? It's the public bathrooms of the student union.
Also, Jack owns and is seen reading a book called The Scientific Method as he performs his experience on objects that he recovered from Christmas Town. He writes big, complex equations across a blackboard. He slices open a teddy bear and examines the stuffing. He pours stuff from one test tube into another test tube. I don't know exactly what he was accomplishing, but that's because I am not a scientist. But I trust that it was all highly accurate to the way that real-world science works. But of course, without question, the one category in which Jack Skellington is miles and miles beyond all the other competitors assembled here today is when it comes to his leadership skills. After the Halloween night at the beginning of the film, Jack is swarmed by adoring fans who shower him with compliments about how scary he is and how successful of a Halloween he helped them have this year. Everyone in town, Sally, Dr. Finkelstein, even the mayor, are all in constant awe of Jack. They always turn to him when they need advice on the best way to scare, and they always defer to his superior leadership without question. But Jack is not a heartless tyrant. This is a man who, when his ghost dog wanted to play fetch, pulled out one of his own ribs and threw it for him to go chase. What a selfless guy. People love him, animals love him, just saying. So, the day after Halloween in the film, a giant clock shows that there are only 364 days remaining till Halloween. The mayor shows up at Jack's house with a giant scroll saying that he's coming to talk about preparations for the next Halloween. These guys are such overachieving nerds that even the day after Halloween, they don't take the day off. They eat, drink, and breathe scaring 24/7 in a way that would put even the brown-nosiest students of Monsters U to shame. While Nemesis, Freddy, and Imhotep are all, without question, highly scary and powerful monsters, only one person here has the warmth and compassion to bring out the best in those around him. To quote the lyrics of This Is Halloween, "Tender lumplings everywhere, life's no fun without a good scare. That's our job, but we're not mean in our town of Halloween." While others may be scary, since Jack's scariness is a persona and a passion, but not his true self, Jack is capable of being more objective and able to alter his tactics and suggest alterations to the tactics of his team in a way that's going to be completely alien to his competition. Jack does not need to go to school here. Jack should probably be teaching the classes. Just watch, as soon as Hardscrabble gets a peek at Jack, she's going to give him his diploma and make him a tenured professor at Monsters U on the spot. Whereas the embarrassing performances that his three competitors put in are going to mean that they're going to end up transferred to the exciting world of scare can design.
Very strong showing and very musical there from Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
I don't know how I
Okay.
didn't see you singing a song as a musical character, because you seem to cram a song into every other character you represent, so...
Freddy Krueger, minoring in child psychology. Your team to the starting line. Make all our nightmares come true.
What do you plan on doing with that, Freddy? That's interesting.
Ooh, sick burn from somebody in the sciences.
Before I begin, let's just check out what the MPAA has to say about this particular contest, shall we? Let's see. Nightmare Before Christmas, rated PG. Yeah, terrifying. The Mummy, PG-13, huh? Yes. Congratulations, you are officially scary enough that preteens have to sneak in. Resident Evil Apocalypse has an R rating, but that's for, quote, non-stop violence, language, and nudity. Freddy Krueger has 9 gloriously R-rated films. The IMDb Parents Guide for A Nightmare on Elm Street contains the phrases slashed repeatedly, face ripped off, greenish blood, maggots and guts, charred corpse, a steaming pile of what looks like intestines and worms, and of course, fountain of blood. And that's the first movie. We haven't even gotten to the dude who Freddy turns into a puppet, dangling him by his own tendons. That shit probably made the Raiders faint. Freddy had a long and prestigious history of scaring kids, murdering kids, and getting away with it before he ever started coming at them through their dreams with the world's deadliest Hot Topic accessories and a face that, with respect to Deadpool, looks like an avocado had sex with another older avocado. When it comes to scaring the youngins, you just can't beat the Dream Master. It's his entire raison d'etre. Nemesis has corporate connections, Imhotep has the whole Egyptian thing going on, and Jack Skellington is all about Halloween. Freddy is concerned with one thing and one thing only: fear. When he tricks Jason Voorhees into helping him return in Freddy vs. Jason, the line is, make them remember what fear tastes like. That's what you're competing against in a contest called The Scare Games. Enjoy your silver medal, bitch! Obviously, if Freddy makes it to the finals and to the scaring simulator, y'all are done fucked. That little meter does not go high enough for the undead dream demon version of the Springwood slasher. I'm envisioning sparks, screechy machine sounds, and probably an explosion. But how will Freddy and his team fare in the earlier rounds? Well, first of all, Freddy has a huge advantage over the other monsters in this contest, and that is freedom of movement. Unless he gets pulled out of the dream world against his will, which I don't believe is in play, given that we're not dealing with any snotty teenage lucid dreamer superheroes, Freddy can move at will through the minds of anyone who is asleep or even dozing. But more than that, as first seen in the second film, Freddy's Revenge, he can possess people and use them to do his bidding, or even to manifest himself in the real world if he chooses. He can create illusions in the minds of dreamers, like the model swimming under Joey's waterbed in The Dream Master, and more importantly, can take on the roles of his victims' loved ones in order to manipulate them, as he does with Jason. We also see over the course of the film that Freddy can use fear to increase his own power in extreme ways, like when he is able to erase his victims from living memory in Freddy's Dead, or when he manages to manifest himself in the real world in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I can't even say the name of that film with a straight face. It's so fucking ridiculous. As long as people are scared enough of him, his powers are essentially limitless. The characters in Monsters University have ample time to train for this contest, and I see Freddy as engaging in a very specific kind of training. Entering the dreams of his team several times before the contest, for months I would say, Freddy will terrify and manipulate them into going 110% in the scare games. He is a master of learning about his victims' greatest fears and using them to his advantage, whether it's by threatening them with grisly demise if they fail him, or showing them how disappointed their parents will be if they lose. By the time the games themselves roll around, this team will be a lean, well-oiled machine, working perfectly in concert to do exactly what Freddy wants. He can help by imparting some of his own knowledge. The team will learn stealth from the man who so often comes out of nowhere, and will be thoroughly aware of the differences between children and teenagers, thank you. And, if necessary, can come out and play himself by possessing one of them. Most importantly, the team will serve as Freddy's personal fear generator. By keeping them constantly terrified of him, he can keep his powers at peak performance. So if he needs to, say, walk on walls to avoid glow urchins, he will easily be able to do so. The scare games test three things primarily: creativity, determination, and scariness. And nobody is quite as determined to scare kids in creative ways than Freddy Krueger. If you had a child, and for some reason you wanted to scare the living piss out of them in the worst possible way, which monster would you choose? The guy whose minigun looks just like the one you bought at the toy store the other day? The dude whose scariest weapon is a cloud of sand? The animated skeleton who loves Christmas? Or the scar-faced nightmare serial killer who turns you into a cockroach, drags you into a blood-spurting hole in the middle of your bed, and has the demonstrated ability to make his arms and head come out of the television screen on which you're watching and kill you with it. Yeah, that's what I thought.
A gruesome showing from Team Freddy.
We work with what we have.
Hey guys, I thought we were all keeping this PG here.
Hey, I hope nobody brought their younger monster siblings. Okay, Imhotep, minoring in bicep oiling, your team to the starting line. Is that a scarab beetle scuttling around in your pants, or are you just ready to get down to business?
It's a scarab beetle. Spoiler alert.
A little bit of both. This match is a little one-sided. We know this, right? I mean, we're talking about 1, a jovial skeleton who doesn't even really want to scare anyone anymore. 2, a dude who looks like Edward Scissorhands went to the beach without sunblock. And 3, a zombie who completely redefines the term strong silent type. Oh yeah, and 4, an ancient and all-powerful mummy whose very existence summons biblical plagues and whose rebirth signals the beginning of the apocalypse. How many of the characters here today are so powerful and formidable and scary that an entire secret brotherhood was established with the sole purpose of making sure, just in case, that he never returned to threaten the world? Just one, Imhotep. The Magi, an ancient order, knew that if he were ever released, quote, he would arise a walking disease, a plague upon mankind, an unholy flesh eater with the strength of ages, power over the sands, and the glory of invincibility. But Imhotep is only one part of Kappa Amenophus' house. He has another 5 generic monsters running around with him that he needs to turn into champions. This is a task that Imhotep was made for. In life, Imhotep was the head priest of his religion. This was an exacting position that required him to train numerous other priests in the myriad and complex ways of his faith, and he became well acquainted with what it takes to train others. Except now, instead of teaching how to worship Anubis and Osiris, he'll be teaching them how to impart both the immediate, instinctive terror of a physically frightening killing machine, as well as the deeper, more existential horror of an immortal being whose very presence means the end of you and your civilization. Monsters University doesn't even have a scale to measure the level of horror that Imhotep and his followers will be able to induce in others. So, let's talk the 5 challenges of the Scare Games. Imhotep can get himself and his team past the Toxicity challenge much faster and more effectively than any other competitors. We see that he can transform into a sandstorm capable of traveling at incredible speeds, and that he can take multiple passengers in the storm with him. None of them will have to worry about getting hit by the glow urchins, and he'll be moving far faster than any of the other teams could ever hope to. Team KA easily makes it past the finish line before the other teams get a foot past the starting line. When it comes to the silent game of Capture the Flag in the Library, where the only rule is don't get caught, we see in the second Mummy movie that Imhotep is capable of using telekinesis at great distances and with great accuracy and precision. Imhotep can just grab the flag from across the room. His buddies never need to take a step into the library itself before they win. Don't Scare the Teen is really only a matter of being able to instantly identify the difference between a human child and a teenager. Now, this is a problem for monsters who were never human and don't understand what they should be looking for. But for Imhotep, who started off as a human, teaching his teammates what to look for in order to identify a teenager is going to be a cinch. Good luck to the other competitors in this task. Jack Skellington never interacts with a normal human during Nightmare Before Christmas. Nemesis is only able to identify humans that Umbrella Corporation has programmed him to identify, none of whom are teenagers. And Freddy, scaring teens is all he does. He may be able to tell the difference between a teen and a baby, but he's going to be fighting his deepest and most basic instincts the whole time he's in this match. Do you think he has the self-control necessary to not yell bitch when he sees a cardboard teenager pop out? Because I don't think he does.
Hey, yeah, okay.
As far as hide and seek goes, Imhotep can turn into freaking sand. No one will know that the dusty old room is actually Imhotep's hiding place. All the while, he's telekinetically holding his teammates up near the ceiling in the shadows, the last place where anyone would think to check. And then the scare simulator. Now, I don't care what your personal scare card says. When an immortal mummy emerges from thin air, opens his mouth impossibly wide, and lets loose a roar that rocks you to your soul before he bends forward to rip off your skin with his mouth, you will never sleep again. Kappa Amenophus House will own this match in a way that no group of monsters ever has before. To paraphrase Ardith Bey from The Mummy, Kappa Amenophus are the bringers of death. They will never eat, they will never sleep, and they will never stop.
Oof. Superb work from all of the teams. And now we move on to rebuttals. As is tradition, everyone will have a turn in the center of verbal attacks. We will go in the same order as before. So somebody step up to the plate and make a sick burn at the expense of Nemesis.
I would like to start this off because there's one fight in Resident Evil 3 where you can take out the Nemesis with a very formidable weapon, that weapon being a spotlight. The idea is you shine it on the dude, and then you push him off a balcony. You know how many bright lights are shown on the competitors during the Scare Games competitions? Is Nemesis even going to be able to step out onto the field?
Actually, we see in the movie when Nemesis fights Alice, there are multiple spotlights there. A lot of people are looking. And while he doesn't win that fight because Alice is some freak of nature, he was still able to show that he performs.
You're right that he mutates a lot, but there's a sort of downside to his mutations. The more he mutates, the dumber he gets. He starts off smart, but over the course of the game, as he mutates more, he becomes sort of more of a mindless monster. Yeah, that's really going to come in handy in those later challenges.
Luckily, in this competition, he'll only have to mutate twice, and none of the things he's mutating into will turn him into a gigantic digestive organ, like what happened in the various media, so we won't have to worry about that. These will be more harmless cosmetic changes.
He's just going to be glowing pink and spiky throughout the rest of the competition. That'll be really helpful in that fourth challenge where he has to hide.
Besides the fact that we know from the film Snatched that is not, in fact, what Nemesis means. You mentioned earlier that in the film Resident Evil Apocalypse, when he kills all the STARS members, first of all, they weren't celebrating that they were alive. They were, like, on point. But you mentioned that he kills them all and leaves the civilian alive because he recognizes that the civilian is, like, unarmed. He was specifically told in that scene to target STARS members and not civilians. That is not his own intelligence at work. It is the corporate intelligence that is constantly guiding him and that he relies on to be effective. He does not have that corporate eye in the sky in this scenario.
But it does show his ability to follow orders and follow a path. Presumably, we don't know what happens before the competition anyways. He could have been in the Umbrella Corporation frat and was operating under Umbrella Corporation frat rules because
it's like a whole shit ton of evil business majors.
You say that like that's not likely.
You can just say business majors, it's okay.
As we've said, we are going into rival frats, so what's to say Nemesis isn't in a rival frat, which is Umbrella Corp? He is following his chartered rules for being part of that frat.
On to Jack Skellington. Somebody yell at him.
Okay, so Colin, you were acting like Jack is the shoo-in when it comes to running a team of monsters, but like, the thing is, he's kind of arrogant and incompetent when it comes to others. You know in Nightmare Before Christmas when Sally correctly tries to convince Jack that his plans for Christmas will lead to the destruction of Halloween Town, and then he doesn't so much as listen to her or even consider that she might be right, all because he's so in love with his own plan? That plan which, again, brings about the destruction of Halloween Town? That's maybe the worst quality you can have when you're on a team, especially when you're supposed to be the leader. You know, you have to be able to listen when other people have good ideas or when they found flaws in your plan, and Jack has shown himself incapable of doing so.
Well, the thing I'd say to that is the reason that it fails, that plan fails, is because Jack is just inherently scary. This is, to quote from Gameable, a lot of Disney movies are very essentialist. People have their essential qualities. Jack is essentially scary. You can see this. He tries to make like a snowflake. He follows the instructions exactly, and he unfolds it, and he gets like a bat. Obviously, he assumed that his plan was going to work out well because he was being very scientific. He was following everything. What Sally was saying didn't make sense because he was doing everything the way that the book said he should, and that's why he wasn't listening to her. Like, when it didn't work out, it's just because he just can't help it. He's just too scary. Such a shame to be so scary.
You know, Colin, you yourself made the point as sort of an advantage to Jack Skellington that he's kind of a softie. He's got the Sally romance thing going on. He likes Christmas. He's a nice guy. He plays with his dog, with his own rib, like fucking Undead Adam, aka Jesus. I don't know Christianity, but
wow, that is like page one basic stuff. Possibly
I'm
literally
up to
page
Miles'
one
version.
But the thing is that I'm not so sure that Jack being a softie and like kind of weak-willed when it comes to scaring people, especially over the course of that film, is going to help him here. I mean, in Monsters University, the real winners of the scare games, because Sully cheated, are the asshole team. The Roar Omega Roar team are the ones who technically should have won that contest. We see in that film that you need more of an edge to this than Jack is going to bring. His kind of nicer qualities are going to drag him down, not lift him up.
Well, the only reason that the team in that one would have lost was because of Mike, who's not inherently scary. We see that Jack, though, is inherently scary. I think Mike was the weak link on that team, but good leadership skills could make a team of not very scary monsters basically just about on par with Roar Omega Roar. And so I'm assuming that the monsters that we're starting off with in this are all relatively on the same level. And so if he has superior leadership skills, he's going to put them way over the top. He is capable of being a badass and being strong when he needs to. The only person in Halloween Town who's really on Jack's level of scariness is Oogie Boogie. And Oogie Boogie is terrified of Jack. It's established sort of in the backstory that Oogie Boogie was a threat at some point in time, and then Jack kind of put him in his place. And then Oogie Boogie rises up again, and Jack kills him. He unravels him and he falls apart into a bunch of bugs. Like, Jack can get serious when he needs to get serious.
Besides his own followers betraying him at one point, let's just put it this way, that one of the scariest things about him, the fact that he can remove some of his body parts, is fucking comic relief, and it's not even that scary, and that's lame.
Wow. Quiet and to the point.
Well, he does not bring that up as a way for him to be, like, scary. He can do that so he can recite Shakespearean quotations. He's just listing off his CV, you know? Like, that's one of his things.
Well, Freddy Krueger, get in the middle of it. All right, somebody yell at Freddy.
Ah!
One thing I want to point out, we see that in Monster University, fear and bullying and intimidation of your team does not bring out the best in them. That is how Mike starts off trying to lead Uzma Kappa, by like just kind of being very blunt with them and like just kind of being rude to them and being very mean to Sully and not trying to understand his team and not trying to understand their individual capabilities. And they would have lost that first challenge using that kind of tactic if it wasn't for the fact that one of the other competitors was caught cheating and was disqualified. If that's the kind of tactics he's going to be employing the entire time, I mean, it's not going to end up well for him.
So, being rude and mean is sort of a far cry from utterly traumatizing people, which is what Freddy's going to do.
These are kids. These monsters are children, basically, in terms of their personality. Yeah. They're not, you can't, they're just going to...
I'm not talking about being mean to them. I'm talking about completely breaking their wills and their spirits until they're
going to drop out of school, dude.
No, they're not.
Going home to their mommies.
No, they're not, because if they do, Freddy is going to fucking murder them. And what you said about Mike not taking the time to understand his team, Freddy understands them very well. He knows exactly how to manipulate them. He knows exactly what to do with their dreams, the weird ways to warp them, in order to break their spirits and make them do what he wants.
Has really harsh anti-bullying restrictions.
There's no evidence.
He's going to get expelled so fast for treating his team this badly.
No. Who's going to know? Are they going to tell?
Who's going to believe you, kid?
Okay, and yes, please, Liz.
Hopefully I have my Nightmare on Elm Street lore correct, but Freddy runs into a similar problem that Candyman had, where he can fall out of people's memories and he loses some of his power with it. Now, in the movies and stuff, Freddy typically deals with teens, right? Well, kids have a lot shorter memories, and chances are, yeah, he's there, you know, the kids aren't asleep, oh, who cares, there's just some weird hipster-looking dude with a fedora, with a discount Wolverine claw hand walking around. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. In the spirit of the competition, they will completely forget about Freddy. Freddy won't have any sway over these kids with their short-term memory like friggin' goldfishes.
Okay, first of all, as someone who works with children, that's factually incorrect. They fucking remember everything. If 6 hours ago you told them that you would give them a candy bar if they did something, they will come up to you 6 hours later and ask for their goddamn candy bar. Okay? So, that's the first thing. Second thing, you're referring, I believe, to the ending of the first movie, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street. At the end of that movie, Nancy, the protagonist, kind of realizes that the fear of Freddy is what makes him powerful, and she turns her back on him. Her ignoring him allows her to defeat him. Except for the fact that at the end of that movie, we see her traveling with all her previously dead friends and mother in a red and green car, and then her mother gets murdered again, and Freddy laughs, and it turns out she's just in another fucking Freddy Krueger dream, so she didn't actually beat him with that tactic.
Freddy does have some weaknesses. We see that he's weak against fire, which, you know, with all the fire-breathing monsters around might be an issue. We see that he's vulnerable to magic in Mortal Kombat. But most of all...
Get the fuck out of here.
Most of all... Now, I know I'm repping the mummy here, but guess who has Mum-Ra's weakness in this fight? Because it ain't Imhotep, it's Freddy. Now, we see in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 that Freddy is destroyed by seeing his reflection in a shard of glass. Now... There's a lot of windows in Monsters University, not to mention that the actual cup you get from winning the scare games, Mike Wazowski demonstrates himself, is perfectly reflective. So, how long can he go before he catches sight of his own reflection and is torn apart by the ghosts of his victims? Because I'm pretty sure that's a pretty solid DQ for the scare games.
What you're alluding to, again, is from the one Freddy movie, I believe it's The Dream Master, in which he is ultimately defeated by the sight of his own reflection. While he is disconcerted by his own reflection, because it sort of puts him in mind of, you know, his past deeds and his sins, I guess, so to speak, The mirror fragment that you're referencing was wielded by one of the aforementioned lucid dream superheroes. Merely the act of looking into a mirrored surface does not fuck with Freddy Krueger nearly as much as it fucks with, say, Mum-Ra, who should have lost that fight. Again, much like fire, while it is something that he is often shown to kind of shy away from occasionally, it is neither an instant win nor a real problem that cannot be overcome over the course of any given film.
All right, now Imhotep to the center, please.
And,
My turn.
Burn away.
Oh my.
That was vehement.
Decisive. All right.
Live.
Yeah, fuck Imhotep.
Okay, would you like to add on to that?
I mean, his bicep did look good, but
That's true. That's true.
Should we maybe throw in like one compliment with all the negativity?
Jack's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
It makes it better.
I want to talk about how Imhotep would be the shittiest leader ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
This guy does not inspire much loyalty, and his whole thing is just going to crash and burn. Let's just put it this way. His one friggin' true lover, who his whole entire resurrected mission is to get back. Let me butcher her name real quick.
Be with him.
Oxanamun. Onksunamun.
That girl.
That girl who he spent his whole resurrected life trying to get back didn't even friggin' choose to save his life at the end of The Mummy Returns. That sucks, man. And he couldn't even get the Scorpion King to follow him without using some trickery to get him to serve under him.
Okay, you want to talk about influencing and inspiring people? Imhotep is up and walking around for like an hour or two in the first movie, and he basically gets the entire population of Cairo chanting his name and trying to kill his enemies. How is that for leadership? How is that for influencing and leading people?
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be really great. All those other monsters are going to be just slowly walking through the area with all of the glowing urchins just saying, Imhotep, Imhotep.
That's the
His
mission.
one true lover denied him. That's the ultimate, like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's a burn.
I mean, that occurred at a point when he was reduced to mortality, and she was a coward, so he wasn't able to exert his will upon her in the same way.
That's all I heard.
Wow,
Wow.
jeez, way to perpetuate.
I know, I was gonna say.
I don't even know how to approach you guys. Like, her love was hanging for his life. She could have very easily run over and grabbed him, and she chose to run away. Like, that's cowardice. He's the victim.
No.
He fell into hell.
No, he's an asshole who doesn't inspire loyalty. I just want to point out, Imhotep's big thing is, like, raining down the 10 plagues of Egypt, right?
I mean, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. No, please, God, save me from these frogs. Like, I know the first Mummy movie takes place in, like, 1926, and the second one takes place a few years later, but, like, seriously, there are really good antidotes for lice now. He's not that terrifying. Like, oh no, the cattle are going to get sick. Come on, man. This is 2016. You gotta be coming with a little bit more than 10 fucking biblical plagues and a roar.
So are you trying to tell me then that the 21st century has developed a way for humans to healthily ingest blood in place of water? Are you telling me that the 21st century has developed a way to repel fire and brimstone when it comes raining down from the sky? I will point out that at one point in the movie, Imhotep induces a solar eclipse, which means that he moves the moon and holds it in place. That's the kind of level of power. You can joke about locusts and frogs all you want, but he moved the moon.
Is that gonna be the new they invented time travel?
Dan, just say he moved the moon really emphatically one more time.
I know.
They moved the moon!
Oh, I want that to be on the shirt.
He was a head priest. He knows a lot about religion. He doesn't know a lot about being scary. He is really scary in the way that an attractive person is really good at, getting dates. But if you ask a really attractive person for dating advice, they're not going to know anything.
We know that Imhotep as a high priest and as a sorcerer on top of that can do two things really well. So the first thing he can do is he can mummify people. The second thing he can do is resurrect them. So all he needs to do is mummify and resurrect his teammates, and all of a sudden, they have all the same mummy powers that he has. Well, except for the, again, moving and holding the moon in place. That's a level up for everyone in his party right now.
And then Freddy can possess them. Awesome.
And then Nemesis can blow them up.
Impressive showing! Your skills are well matched, and you've shown prowess that... Shut up, Dan. Fuck you. No, just start over and I almost fell in my chair.
No, you don't. Laughing in the background is kind of what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Your skills are well matched and you've shown prowess that indicates that, well, you're scary. As you're aware, without an obvious winner, we must move to the lightning round.
Oh no!
This wasn't in the program.
He's just changing the rules on us on the last second.
Welcome to my lightning round.
I just want to say the theater department really came through this time. There's another sound, though. It's the sound of many tiny claws clicking in rage and disgust. And it's Dean Hardscrabble! Oh my goodness. She has informed me that while your fraternities are technically chartered by the university, you failed to take on one of the key requirements for all frats and sororities. You haven't done any volunteer work. Tisk. You're making the whole scare games look bad, and we really needed you guys to come through. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. There's been talk of cutting all funding for the scare games in favor of the football team. They've already cut funding for Improv Club. On Tuesday, I saw them playing questions outside the food court for spare change. So sad.
Is it sad?
If you want to, it's Dan.
Yes,
Dan, we're a
and
theater major. It's very sad. If you want to stay eligible for winning the scare games and avoid the death from above almost certainly coming to you from our illustrious dean, you need to have a cause. You are each expected to support, fundraise for, and bring awareness to a cause that you have taken under your wing, claws, flippers, tentacles, whatever you have.
Fish knives.
Your sincerity and heartfelt commitment to your chosen cause will keep you in the running. You've brought your scare game. Now tell me about your care game. Okay. Dan, you're up first. Tell me how Imhotep is going to make the world a better place.
All right. Well, so as everyone knows, the goals of ancient Egypt when it was in its prime were to, of course, spread over the world and bring enlightenment and prosperity to all. This didn't end up happening, but it wasn't for lack of trying, and Imhotep has considerably more resources now than he did 5,000 years ago. And so he hears about a program called Doctors Without Borders. They travel to all different areas of the world. They bring the best medical care that they possibly can to these impoverished areas. And this really sparks something in whatever piece of charcoal passes for Imhotep's heart nowadays. So he decides to travel to these different areas of the world. Every corner, every continent, he strides amongst all of them. And in every place, there are people that claim they are sick beyond all manner of healing. People who have been injured. People, in fact, who have died. And yet, where Imhotep walks, those people walk again. They are restored to life. Yes, they have to wear some of the bandages and sort of an outpatient sort of procedure moving forward. And yes, they are inspired to walk with Imhotep and go with him away from their areas of the world and spread his good word to the other areas of the world that have yet to see his enlightenment. But the thing is, Imhotep is really happy doing this. And the world, I think we can all agree, is a very different place.
I'm touched. Okay, tell me how Freddy is going to bring a little light to the world.
Freddy has recently had an issue come to light. He's been kind of seeing it more and more as he navigates the dreamscape, and it's a problem that, despite his, utter hatred of children, he really only hates the Springwood children because of how, what huge assholes their parents were. He does care about kids, and he's been very disturbed lately to find this trend, this increasing trend of over-medication. It's a really huge problem with parenting. You get people prescribing antidepressants to fucking 2-year-olds. It's ridiculous. And something has to be done about this. In particular, he is highly disturbed about the number of sleep aids currently on the market. There are not nearly enough. People are focusing so much on depression and ADHD, and all these kids really need is a good night's sleep. Okay? So Freddy is advocating for more melatonin-based products. He's advocating for to let children be children. Okay? Let them have their good night's sleep. Don't worry about modifying their behavior with drugs. It doesn't work, and you lose your child, parents. You lose the person that they are. So instead of trying to make them some kind of perfect little angel, which is what, you thought you wanted, all you have to do is give them just a little sleep aid. They'll be well rested in the morning, give them a good breakfast, and that's all you have to do. The pharmaceutical industry must be stopped from the terror it is inflicting against our children.
Okay. Sold. Colin, what have you got for us?
In his time when he was put in charge of Christmas, Jack Skellington showed a great love of making presents for people, making little toys and things like that. Unfortunately, all of his toys ended up being far too scary for Earth children. He had little ducks with razor-sharp teeth. He had like a tortoise that had been flattened by a tire. He had a shrunken head, all that kind of thing. And he's always wanted to make more presents like that, but the children of Earth just weren't ready for it. But the children of Monstropolis, now he's got a totally new demo, way more in line with his sensibilities. So he started in his spare time just making toys, just filling up a garage full of them. And he started his own service called Pleasant Presents, in which he tries his hardest to just make the sweetest and most adorable presents he can. And yet, time and again, they end up scary. But it doesn't matter because the kids of Monstropolis love him.
That's really beautiful. Thanks, Colin. Nemesis?
Oh, man.
Oh, here we go.
Is Liz last again? As it should be.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Nemesis, make me feel.
back when Nemesis was just a little Neem, and,
Oh, so cute.
he noticed people didn't really want to be around him. He thought, is my sense of fashion off? Is it my disgusting smile? My horribly disfigured and sewn up right eye? And then he had his Nemenasties, and, they looked like him, and they were having the same issue too, but people wanted to take pictures with them, and that wasn't it. They just didn't want to stand very close to them. And it turns out it was because they smelled bad. Nemesis was sad about this. He didn't want to smell bad. And then he realized there were so many other people that smelled bad. With all the fast food that's around, people had nasty farts and bad burps. And so Nemesis decided to enlist the help of Jill Valentine. After a couple of close and personal encounters with her, she recognized that, Nemesis does have bad breath. So she went out into Raccoon City with Nemesis, and they picked some green and red herbs and mixed them together. And Nemesis established his charity, Nemesense,
I was waiting for it.
eradicating bad-smelling people.
Well,
Shooting bad smells with a rocket launcher.
you've all
With his
given
new patented aerosol dispensing system.
Yes, the shoulder-mounted deodorant system.
Yep. An armor-piercing deodorizer.
It pierces the armor of your stench.
We've all given me a lot to mull over.
You sound like you're just so happy.
I'm gonna go review the footage and make a decision. Feel free to chat with your fellow brothers in fratmanship.
I feel like our last few matchups have kind of had definite favorites and definite underdogs.
Yeah.
This one I have fucking no idea. This
Yeah.
could go any way.
That was just a pile of words. I don't know how you just went through that.
So, Colin, I see that your hiatus lasted one whole episode
Nope, one whole-
before you came crawling back.
I just can't stay away. Well,
You really wanted to be on the scary game.
I did. The Scare Games is one that we talked about a while ago, and when I was going on my hiatus, I was like, "Oh, am I gonna miss the Scare Games? Oh, I can't miss the Scare Games." So
Yeah.
and Kit needs a break sometimes, right?
One would assume.
I need a break sometimes. Jesus Christ.
So, you assholes, I have something to say real quick. First of all, Dan,
Yes.
Colin.
Colin.
We see when Jack goes to Earth, he slips into a child's house dressed as Santa Claus and gives the child a present of a shrunken head. Then when he sees the parents coming down the stairs, he slips away and is unseen. And then the child then reveals the present of the shrunken head and the parents scream, but he's like, child, give presents to a child. Parents, run away. Classic Santa Claus stuff. So, Dan.
Sure, but there's no teenagers in that equation. I mean, how's he gonna know? It's like halfway between a child and an adult. How is he supposed to be able to tell the difference?
By reading a goddamn book, because he's smart.
You mean like the scientific method?
Yes,
which is
a scientific
Which is
method.
apparently a book that all serious scientists have to keep on hand at all
Oh,
times,
no.
just in case they forget what the scientific
I am
method
familiar
is.
with that book. I read it in the 2nd grade, I believe.
There you go. Also, Miles, I want to point out, the Dream Warriors were from Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
No, I know.
The part with the mirror was from Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
I know,
And-
but the same characters were in 4, Dan.
Okay, well...
4 is a continuation of the story from 3. It's still Kristen.
It kills him in 4, is all I'm going to say.
Dude, they kill him in, like, every movie. Guess who keeps coming back?
Bitch? Is there a
Bitch.
There we go, okay.
In Freddy vs. Jason, he walks away with Freddy's decapitated head, and the dude winks at the camera.
In one of the deleted scenes at the end of Freddy vs. Jason, apparently Pinhead was supposed to show up.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah, Pinhead.
Like that beats the pants off of Nick Fury's cameo at the end of Iron Man. If you ask me.
Well, because the whole thing is that Freddy and Jason are both in hell, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Pinhead,
exactly.
in one of the alternate endings, Pinhead shows up, and he's like, "What the fuck have you two been doing?"
No, I would just love Pinhead to show up, just like Nick Fury at the end, and say to them, "We're putting a team together."
I'd like to talk to you about the Evil Bastards Initiative.
Yes.
Yep.
I have returned from my deliberations.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, hi, guys. First of all, I had no idea that judging was this hard.
Right?
Secondly, I had no idea that this competition would weigh like 12 different things against one another, and that this would not be a can you do this? It would be can you do these 5 things in these many different ways in a way that will ultimately be successful?
Yeah, you picked a hell of a match to start judging.
I
on,
know!
Bob.
God damn it. I didn't want to do this, but I'm giving it to Dan.
Yeah!
Damn it!
Really,
Yes!
I know! No one is more upset than me because of all the other episodes I've listened to where everyone is always like, oh, fucking Danny's so good! It was ultimately that I felt like he could handle all of the things, but also was not going to cross any boundaries that were frankly uncrossable in the context of a Pixar film. And basically the moment Miles opened his mouth, I was like, oh, I just as a matter of principle, I don't think I can allow this to happen.
You guys definitely
yeah.
did not make that easy at all.
Oh, you had a great
No,
argument, dude. I want a... Now I really do want a He Moved the Moon t-shirt.
Yeah, that
Can I get one of those?
Time to give thanks over to Twitter. Thank you, Cosplay Fiend, Paladin Today, Rosalind Scott, and Sam Akonda for retweeting Candyman vs. Slenderman.
You guys are all the best. We love you.
I actually want to give a special thanks to Cosplay Fiend for that awesome tweet about me. Just listen to the latest Smash Fiction podcast. Colin will be dearly missed. He was a good egg. And then he has a picture of my little unhatched egg on Twitter.
So if anyone has any Smash Fiction complaints, please send them to @ColinMulcairn.
Yes, direct them to @ColinMulcairn.
Yeah.
Who tweeted the Archer picture at us?
The person who sent you that, who made that picture for you, is Grayson Leal.
Oh, it's great. It's so
Okay,
good.
so Grayson, I just want you to know that I hear you. Dan, I want you to know that I'm hearing Grayson right now.
I got you, man.
All
I got
right.
you. We'll talk. I have
All right.
plans for Archer, so
Okay.
Speaking of Grayson Leal, he also emailed us some sweet rhymes.
yeah.
So thank you for making a pretty epic rap for us.
I'm certainly not going to read it on the air because I've done quite enough damage to myself last episode with the music I busted out. It was basically an epic poem. I think we'll
Damage
try
to
to.
yourself. It was
we'll try to
glorious.
post that. We'll try to post that on Twitter and/or Tumblr and/or
should-
Facebook.
Can you please wrap that, Dan?
Nope.
Dan, will you please?
I'm
For
not-
me, will you wrap that?
Miles, you are the last person who has any right to ask me to rap anything.
Does someone need a musical number?
Speaking of Tumblr, thank you to Little Keep It Peo, Roz Scott, and Sid Rabbit Blog. Those wonderful people reblogged Candyman versus Slenderman, so thank you. Choizard also reblogged Candyman versus Slenderman, but they also left us a nice compliment, and then proceeded to tag us in a couple of funny Tumblr pics. One of them is a picture of Doom. The word Doom.
Doom!
Graffiti. I should just always wait.
Yes.
Yeah, you really should.
The word Doom graffitied on a tarp and like a goat standing next to it.
Goat!
Liz, why are you leaving me hanging here?
Okay, hold on. 3, 2, 1.
That was beautiful.
That was gorgeous. That was harmonic.
Except for the whole fact that you were screaming Doom. It was beautiful. And on Facebook, thank you to Anton Belaine and Sam Ruiz for sharing Candyman vs. Slenderman. Thank you guys.
Remember how a million years ago Dan told you guys that I use Smash Fiction in the classroom?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I will never
so,
forget that.
In a kind of whim, I proposed it at a conference, and then it got accepted, and then I was like, oh, well, whatever. The funding will never come through for that. And then they gave me money to go present.
What?
Oh
Wow.
my god.
So I'm taking this on the road, Albuquerque, and probably upwards of 5 people in the audience. Prepare yourselves.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Oh my
I
God.
do
Wow.
have some
Is that
feelings
the
about,
first
like,
Smash Fiction live?
I guess.
So,
I mean,
By all rights,
in a
it shouldn't
very
be, but-
limited sense, but in a purely academic world, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not. I don't think they're really our target, but you know, I'm gonna use.
Hey, we'll
them
take them where
to-
we can get them, man.
I was gonna say I'm gonna teach them.
A few days ago, Death Save, which is the spin-off D&D actual play RPG podcast of Sup Nerds, released their Halloween special, and I was on it. And I will continue to be on the next couple of episodes. It's a very fun, goofy, Lovecraftian, and also Scooby-Doo themed Halloween series of episodes, and it's super goofy and super fun. So,
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
give it a listen. It was
yeah.
really fun to record.
Yay,
Nice.
Death Save.
We love those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you to frequent guest host Brad Boltman for suggesting today's episode. Thanks to all of you for listening. And next week, we'll be releasing the 11th episode of The Extraordinary League, our actual play RPG podcast. The match after that will be Dr. Stephen Strange versus Voldemort.
Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman, with logo design by Colin Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod for our theme song, which is called Hitman. You can find his work at www.incompetech.com.
you can follow the Smash Fiction podcast on Twitter at SmashFicPodcast and search for us on Facebook and Tumblr.
Subscribe on iTunes, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
So everyone, keep in mind, we have to keep the rebuttal segment short.
Short.
So
Oh,
one question
yeah.
each per round.
Yeah.
Miles.
Eat a dick.
I know, I listened to an earlier one with Miles on it, and I was like, Jesus Christ!
Eat a bag of
It was
dicks.
very impressive.
Eat
No,
several
I have
bags
done,
of dicks.
and- I mean, thank you, I will.
Will you supply them? I skipped dinner. I'm kind of hungry.
I can supply one of them.
Oh!
No, Nemesis! 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 Nemesis!